Blog Talk Radio.
Gentlemen, it seems we have a problem. I would like to introduce Bigfootspad Paranormal Investigations Team.
Welcome to another edition of Bigfoots Pad Paranormal Radio. Tonight's show is going to be about mind control and crop circles. And on the phone with me, I have Tim and Becky's on the phone.
Yep.
We're waiting for one of our co-hosts to call in. And for the news tonight, snakes take over China. Terrified householders had to abandon an entire town after 3,000 illegally bred king cobra eggs hatched out and gave out their owner's position. The eggs, bred to supply the traditional health industry, had been stored in a cage at a house in Xiangling, southwest China. But the newly hatched snakes escaped through a hole in their enclosure and took over the entire town. We really don't know how many survived, but we caught 170 of them, so we think a lot are still missing, said the policeman. King cobras, which as adults can reach 18 feet in length, are among the most deadly snakes in the world that can kill a man and are loose right now. The owner, Kai Young, is facing jail time for breeding snakes without a license.
That's a little insane.
They're going to probably make a movie about that. That is crazy. And they say are they a bunch of baby snakes?
They're all different sizes, I think. But they said some of they're overrunning the town, and some of them are king cobras.
Yeah, that's oh god, man.
Insane. Well, in other news, a crocodile on an airplane killed 19 people. The crocodile had been hidden in a passenger's sports bag, allegedly with plans to sell. Well, they were going to sell the snake, but it tore loose and ran amok, sparking panic. A stampede of terrified passengers caused the small aircraft to lose balance and tip over in midair during the flight to the Congo. The unbalanced load caused the aircraft on a routine flight to the capital of Kinshasa to the regional airport in Bandundu to go to a spin and go into a nosedive and crash into a house. The only survivor from the plane of 410 told the astonishing tale to investigators, and ironically, the crocodile survived the crash.
No, I think we shouldn't be laughing about that, because how many people died? Like 400, did you say?
409.
Oh, my God.
That's insane.
The crocodile survived. I would have told you one other guy.
That's like another sci-fi movie. God, that's wow.
It is. Crocodile on a plane.
Yeah, it is. Oh man.
Crocs on a plane. They put it in a sports bag. They said
Oh,
That's pretty awesome.
my gosh.
I mean, that's so screwed up, but it's awesome because the fact that, like, it makes it better because the crocodile survived too.
Yeah, well, that is ironic, isn't it? But it's just, and then first you said the snake story and that crocodile one, and that one's even worse. Oh my gosh.
And another one. A man stays awake for 40 days. In an attempt to break the world record for going the most nights without sleep, the 28-year-old Los Angeles photographer claims he stayed awake for 38 days and won't allow himself a wink of shut-eye until he's reached 40. It's such a dangerous stunt that the Guinness World Records wants no part of it. Shields has therefore enlisted friends to act as monitors and vouch for him when disbelievers dismiss him as a fool and a liar. Nevertheless, by midnight Sunday, he'll end this. Oh, this was last Sunday. He'll end this marathon of sleep deprivation. We at AOL Weird News question whether it's humanly possible to do what Shields says he's done. But nevertheless, in a telephone interview last week, he sounded very convincing and very tired. A lot of people say this is impossible and you can't do this. And then he replies, if I was a normal person that slept every night, then I would agree with most people. But in my normal life, I only sleep 2 nights a week, and that's my normal. That's every day.
That's a little odd.
Sounds like he's on drugs or something.
Yeah, it seems hard to believe someone could.
How do you do that?
Yeah, well, I know it gets to a point where you get so tired that it's like you can't fall asleep. But I can't imagine, it's been over 30 days and he hasn't gone to sleep. I can't imagine that you just wouldn't eventually fall asleep and just not even be able to control it. You would just be so tired that it would just happen. You just had no control over it whatsoever. But I don't know. That's
a little insane too.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, when he actually goes to sleep, how long is he going to sleep? Is it going to be for days and weeks?
He'll hibernate.
Yeah. He'll hibernate for the winter.
Exactly. But so these have been some pretty great news topics, haven't you?
Yeah. I think Nick's calling in right now. Nick?
Yeah, I'm here.
Nick,
I
have two news questions I have to tell you really quick, and I'd get your opinion on.
Oh. Okay.
First, there was a guy that stayed awake for 40 days and 40 nights we're talking about right now.
Wow.
What's your opinion on that, Nick?
Yeah. That's crazy.
You don't have anything on him, Nick.
Wow. Yeah, I know. 40 days and 40 nights. Wow. I heard. Actually, I would say in all seriousness, I heard that if a person stays awake for more like 7 days straight, they go mad.
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. But
I don't know, Nick. Did you and Jeremy go mad? You guys said it for.
Yeah.
1 second.
We just said for 7 days straight.
Steph?
What?
Yeah, hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nick just called in like just a second ago. So anyways, we're talking, the next news story that I wanted to get yours and Nick's opinion on is there was a plane that's coming to the Congo. I guess somebody was trying to smuggle an alligator on board, or a crocodile, and then the crocodile got loose on the plane and caused a stampede of passengers. And it says they trampled a bunch of people to death, and then it says the plane ended up going into a nosedive and killed 400 people.
Wow.
But once there's one human survivor and the crocodile, both survived the airplane crash, so.
Crocodile survivor. Oh, gosh.
That great one, Nick.
Crocodile.
Yeah, me and Baker just laughed at that scene. We're like, how ironic. You shouldn't be laughing, Nick, but the alligator survived.
I know.
What do you think, Steph?
Crazy.
I think it's kind of funny.
Everybody died except for one guy in the alligator?
Can you tell the And Nick and Steph, the other topic was there was a guy in China who had like illegal snake hatchery in his house, and they escaped and overran a town.
Wow.
Had to literally evacuate the whole entire town.
That's
like
probably funnier than the crocodile.
They said there was thousands of snakes overrunning the town. And it said that a police officer woke up and there's a king cobra on his bed, Nick.
Oh.
Oh, gosh.
You have any more news topics, Jerry?
Yeah. NASA prepares for a 100-year spaceship program to boldly go where no one has ever gone before. A senior NASA official has promised to deliver a spaceship that will travel between alien worlds within a few years. Speaking at the conference in San Francisco, NASA's director, Simon Warden, said his division has started a project with the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency called the 100-Year Spaceship. The project was kicked off recently with a $1 million funding and $100,000 from NASA and hopes to utilize new propulsion ideas being explored by NASA. And Star Trek fans, prepare to get excited. Electric propulsion systems are here, according to Mr. Warden. There will be no more flames on these spaceships, and they will travel faster than ever before. That's one for you right there, Nick.
Oh, yeah, electric propulsion system. This gets me so excited thinking about electric propulsion systems.
Well, in my last news article, Swiss archaeologists find the door into history. Archaeologists in the Swiss city of Zurich have unearthed a 5,000-year-old door that may be one of the oldest ever found in Europe's history. The ancient poplar wood door is solid and elegant and well-preserved hinges and a remarkable design for holding the boards together. Using tree rings to determine its age, a scientist named Bleacher believes the door could have been made in 3063 BC, around the time of the construction of the Stonehenge Monument. The door is very remarkable because the way the planks are held together, Bleacher told the press. Harsh climatic conditions at the time meant that people had to build solid wood houses and would keep out much of the cold wind blowing across Lake Zurich. And the door would have helped, he said. It's a clever design and it even looks fashionable.
Well, it's cool. Random but cool. The oldest door.
Hey, not as random as the alligator or the crocodile on the airplane. I think
the crocodile survived. The crocodile survived, but the crocodile hunter died.
Oh, don't talk about Steve. That's sad.
I know.
Nick,
I still can't believe that.
The biggest tragedy that's happened, Nick, since the Wendy's guy died. The Fawn, he died last week, Nick.
Henry Winkler died.
Henry Winkler died?
Yeah, he's the Fonz, yeah.
I didn't know he died.
Fonz.
He was still acting.
People at work
did he
were
really?
talking about it. Yeah,
I didn't hear about that.
Fonzie died, Nick.
That's horrible. I mean,
he's one of the best people
with the Wendy's guy. Exactly. I mean, what other person can say they were 30 years old and still in high school? I mean,
well, Nick, he's the coolest dude to ever live, Nick.
Yeah,
of course. And not just that too. He believed in the paranormal. There was a show called Sightings on in the '90s. He bought the rights to it and everything, and he's the one that got like the mainstream paranormal shows on the TV. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, yeah.
Nick, I'm in contact. So I must admit, Nick, I'm in contact with the Reptoids.com maker right now.
Oh, awesome! We got to get him on the show.
Yeah, I'm talking to him right now. But anyway, Tim, you said you had a news article?
You have a news article?
No, you said you did?
Oh, I don't have any tonight.
Oh.
I think the Fonz alone, and Fonz and the alligator made all the news topics the entire night.
Yeah.
Come on, Nick, you got to do one in his honor, Nick.
Hey.
Come on, Steph. Come on, Becky. Your turn.
No.
That's no fun.
I don't know.
I can't do it.
Should we get started on the topic tonight, too?
Yeah, but I have to do one thing, though, before we start.
Okay.
tonight's topic. It's
so random.
It's going to be, we're going to start with UFO crop circles, or just crop circles in general for that matter. I'll let Tim talk a little bit about this.
All right, well, 2 topics tonight happen to be mine and Brent's and Nick's specialties, right, Nick? Conspiracies?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to begin the topic tonight by talking a little bit about crop circles. I have the definition of crop circles here for those of you that aren't sure, but of course, most people know the definition. So the definition of a crop circle is a well-sized pattern created by the flattening of a field such as wheat, barley, rye, maize, or rapeseed. But also they also appear in oats and corn and granola and even rice fields and even sand and snow also. They could be anywhere from just like a dot in a field to like full-fledged pictures and everything. Most are genuinely fake. You can prove without a reasonable doubt they're fake, but...
Tim. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to quote the famous Stanton. Only some UFO crop circles are real.
Exactly.
Most of them are just BS.
But all right, because most were proven to be fake, and in 1991, two priests by the name of Doug Bauer and Dave Corley from Winchester, Hampshire, said they started the phenomenon in 1978 when they actually used wood and ropes in order to flatten down the corn, which I'm sure we all know what exactly. I'm sure we've all seen shows on that before, but so they claim they're the ones that started the phenomenon, but the phenomenon itself actually dates back to prehistoric times. The Romans and everything, I was reading online, one of the earliest sources from 94 BC is actually a Roman. He claims that his wheat was flattened by a weird-looking light, which of course, they thought it was the gods, punishing him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most people say it's these guys flattening these down with wooden boards, but at the same time, I don't see how a guy back then would lie about something like that,
No, come on. He lied about that in ancient Rome. I mean, it was there was only some swamp gas somewhere, and
Well, they're liars now, and they're liars back then. So maybe he did.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, but back then, though, they believed like the gods cursed him and everything, and you wouldn't even speak the god's name out loud unless you were like serious about talking about him too. So. But yeah, as we know, most patterns they're found to be products of deception, expression, and business tourism interests. But although researchers have also found real ones, genuine ones, which are quite strange to say the least. They appear in over every single continent and in 75 different countries worldwide, including the United States, Canada, Australia, Brazil, Russia, India, Germany, and South Africa. And the amazing thing to me is, it says right here, there's a lot of them seem to be have a correlation with like near ancient sites, which to me is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Because now back to the genuine crop circle theory. Now, scientists believe that genuine crop circles, they have weird phenomena that take place in them. They genuine crop circles seem to have like physical changes of the plants in the soil itself. But it's funny because it can't be hoaxed because it's actually at the molecular level. They're severely dehydrated, and they have enlarged cell walls, expulsion cavities in the nodes of the plant, and the nodes like literally deform and everything, which is naturally impossible. And like in most cases too, there's actually tiny microscopic specks of unknown metal fragments that have been deposited in the soil, which were not.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Exactly. Yeah, so the tiny speck of microscopic metal, which you walk 3 or 4 feet outside the circle, scientists say, and there's none of it there. So, you know what I mean? Weird stuff like that points to a genuine crop circle.
Yeah. Well, actually, the word. Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say, in the words of one of my favorite authors, Gilbert Keith Chesterton says, just because there is counterfeit money does not disprove the Bank of England. He was an Englishman. So Just because there are fakes or something doesn't mean that there's nothing real that those fake things emulate.
Exactly. Because, I mean, I find it really hard to believe that the hoaxers would be able to go at a molecular level and mess with the molecules and everything.
Yeah, I think they tried a thing, some people at MIT, about 10 years ago, I think, they tried to do something with this really, they made some type of machine to try to duplicate what had been done at the molecular level.
Well,
I know you're
I
talking
saw a
about.
show about that.
Yeah, Becky knows what I'm talking about too. It was MIT. They tried to duplicate the metal fragments and everything too.
Yeah, They took metal and threw it out into the field, and they used like magnets and some other type of stuff. I don't think they were able to replicate it though, if I can remember. I haven't seen the show in years.
No, me either. It's been a while since I've seen it. How long ago did you see it, Becky?
Well, whenever I saw it, I think it was maybe a year or two ago. It was on, it might have been on Discovery Channel or something. I mean, I could tell it was at least a few years old, but it's
been a while.
Yeah, it was just a rerun of something that I'm sure had aired years ago. But,
exactly, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I did see it was the MIT people, but
because along the lines of like, you know, explanations for crop circles, most people believe there's actually only 4 main categories of crop circles. People say that the first explanation, of course, is the weather, which, in my opinion, is pretty pathetic, because they say heavy rainfall and cyclonic winds seem to form symbols and everything that people mistake for alien symbols, which it's funny to me that, you know, the whole what, Nick?
It's just like the 300-mile winds out there in California. They move the boulders. I mean, It's the weather. Come on.
Exactly. But I think it's just they claim cyclonic wind and rainfall caused it. But it's funny how the rest of the field's untouched except for that certain part, though. You know. I mean, it's all been the same weather. Next explanation people say is they believe that animals are to blame for them because they say this is a good one, guys. They say the animals are to blame because such a case could be found in Australia, where the Australian wallabies have been found creating crop circles by hopping around in circles.
Oh my God! Holy attack of the wallabies.
You know, wallabies are in England, of course, causing it. So yeah.
Who's letting those wallabies loose here in the United States? We got to find them and track them down.
Exactly. Of course, there's the human hoaxes, which we've, of course, went over, you know, such as Doug Bauer and Dave Crowley again. And, of course, there's actually the paranormal beliefs. There's 2, we've already discussed one where there's believe that aliens and extraterrestrials are the main theory behind crop circles. Like, in England, specifically, there's been balls of light and silver objects smashing down the crops and everything, which is pretty awesome. I've seen some of the footage myself. And, of course, there's the New Age belief, or New Age believers. They believe that the Gaia hypothesis, which states that Gaia, Mother Earth, is actually alive, and the crop circles are messages responding to them about global warming and pollution and the downfall of mankind. So those are the main explanations for crop circles, which I personally, I believe majority of them are complete fake, like in the words of Stan Friedman. Some are real, right, Nick?
Some are real, yeah.
Yeah, you got to by some. So I think most of them are fake, but there are the genuine few, which I believe are caused by extraterrestrials. Myself.
Most of them are just wackos. They just want attention.
Well, there's something interesting I'm reading. So I have a book, There's Something in the Woods by Nick Redfern. We had him on the show before. And on a chapter called Confessions of a Crop Circle Maker. And this guy, he talks about, and he makes crop circles. And when he first was researching, he was all against hoaxing and everything and trying to stop man-made crop circles. And he now knows, of course, that most of them are made by people. But it's going into saying how a lot of it, the people who are hoaxing them, it's not really about hoaxing, but these people feel like almost compelled to make them, like some sort of higher power or intelligence is guiding them to do it. So it kind of, it's like the paranormal theory is kind of crossing into the man-made, like there's something paranormal about them, some force at work that's making these people make these crop circles.
Exactly. I know some people also do it for like artistic reasons, like they want to express themselves, you know.
Yeah. But I just thought that was really interesting that these people, they feel like, I don't know, like they're, for some reason they have to make them. That not to just, you know, hoax people, but for some reason something is telling them to make it, or I don't know, like there's some sort of, maybe there is some sort of force or intelligence behind it that it's causing these people to go out there and make them.
That's true. Like, what's your opinion, Steph? What do you think about crop circles?
I mean, I think that they're made by like extraterrestrials and stuff, but I know that some people have said that they're hoaxes. But they said, I forgot where I heard this, but they said the more elaborate ones are more likely to be hoaxed than the simpler ones.
Yeah, that's what it actually says in this book. It says the more detailed, the more elaborate they are, the more likely they're man-made. It's the simpler ones that are more likely to be true, genuine, you know, possible alien ones.
Yeah, I believe that more.
Yep, and if you're all interested, there's a video on YouTube. I think you look under like England or United Kingdom crop circle light, and it actually shows a ball of light creating a spiral, and it takes off to like a big mothership in the distance. It's pretty cool. To me, it looks like a probe or something. What's that, Nick?
Yeah, I've seen that video that Tim's talking about where some blue
light
lights create.
Yeah, because it's about the size of a baseball or maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and probably about the size of a baseball or softball.
Yeah, what's also funny about it is not even 10 seconds after it does that, the British military shows up in helicopters there, so obviously they wouldn't be chasing something, you know, if it wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
it's a giant elaborate hoax. They hired those helicopters to go there, Tim.
He did.
Yeah, I'm trying to post our bulletins that the MySpace and stuff is all jacked up.
Oh yeah, in fact, you see, we now have a Twitter account.
Yeah, I saw it.
Well, we haven't been on in like a week.
Brent's going to go on it.
So, Nick, what's your personal opinion on crop circles, Nick?
Again, I think 3/4 of them, I'll say, are probably hoaxes. Are hoaxes. But that other quarter, which have not been either proven to be or just can't be proven to be hoaxes.
Goody, gumdrops. Everything I dreamed is coming true.
And I do believe that some are made by extraterrestrials are a very good theory. But Becky was when she was talking about some type of intelligence behind these things. There's just by coincidence there, I was reading about consciousness, and I was reading some takes from quantum physicists who say that quantum mechanics has turned modern day science upside down, and everyone, including biologists, chemists, got a tongue twister, all need to rethink of their disciplines now in terms of quantum mechanics, because physics talks about everything in the physical world, and many quantum there's a handful at least that I read of quantum physicists that say that there's some type of realm or dimension that is beyond what we could see and hear and think called, they call it the dimension of archetypes. and they think that these archetypes govern what goes on in the physical world. So that, maybe there's some type of quantum level thing going on here about these crop circles. I don't know. It's just a little theory I made my own, and I thought it was interesting that Becky said that.
I've heard of that before too.
And like I said, the quantum, on the quantum level, something could be going on in these people's heads that just,
like they
have
could
them
compel
make
them
these
to
designs.
make
It's really a mystery. Oftentimes beyond our own perception. I take philosopher of science Sir Karl Popper's take on human knowledge, and Socrates said this too as well, that human knowledge is incomplete and we cannot know everything and never will know everything. So,
I desperately want to make love to a schoolboy.
Except that, we can know that for sure. So that's where I myself, I believe in the paranormal and everything and whatnot, but I do have a small degree of skepticism within myself about things, because I just think human beings cannot and will not ever know everything that there is to be known, because we are finite, limited creatures. So that's what makes paranormal activity, ghosts, UFOs, and other things interesting, because it shows there are things that we don't fully understand out there, and you try to understand them. It's a fun part.
So Becky, your last up before we have to switch our next topic. Do you think they're real, or do you? What's your outlook on them?
Well, I mean, I definitely think a lot of them are hoaxed, but I also think there's, that small percentage of genuine cases. I mean, I don't do a lot of research on crop circles to really say how much I think is real or not, but I definitely think there are some real ones out there. I mean, it depends on what you mean by real. I mean, real as in actual UFO or extraterrestrial creators. I think there are some, but yeah, there's also, I think there's hoaxes, just people trying to get attention or fool people. And then I'm very interested in this about, crop circle makers. They're not doing it as a hoax intentionally, but to actually, because they feel compelled to do it. And I mean, if these people say they feel like they need to, they feel like something is drawing them to do it. I mean, I don't think we can really deny that. I mean, they feel the need to do it, and not for hoaxing reasons, but for something else, some sort of force or intelligence is behind it. Then, I mean, to me, it still leads back to something paranormal. So.
At first, I thought you were going to say you don't hoax them very often, is what I thought you were going to say. At first, I thought you were going to say I don't hoax them myself very often, is what I thought you were going to say.
No.
Well, we have about 55 minutes left in the show. We are going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about our next topic, which is mind control. And you'll listen to Bigfoot's Pad Paranormal Radio.
Up from the depths, 30 stories high, green fire is head in the sky. Godzilla, and Godzilla.
Over here is tough guy spooky. He'll surprise you. Wait and see. Come on. they've never used, and the horse's name is Nightmare. He will keep.
Bigfoot's Pad Paranormal Radio. We are going to get started on our next topic, which is mind control, and it's also known as brainwashing, mind abuse, thought control, and thought reform. I'm going to give you a quick definition and a quick run around what we're going to talk about. The definition of mind control refers to a process where a group or individual systematically uses unethically manipulative methods to persuade others to conform to the wishes of their manipulators. The term has been applied to any tactic, psychological or otherwise, which can be seen as subverting an individual's sense of control over their own thinking, behavior, or emotions or decision-making. And I'm going to hand it off to Tim, who said that he wants to talk a little bit about the topic, and then we'll get into a couple of stories and things like that after he's done.
Well, because what's funny about it is even Nick could vouch for me too. That one of the best shows on TV right now is that Jesse Ventura Conspiracy Theory. He has a lot of good points when it comes to brainwashing and stuff, right, Nick?
Yeah.
And in Secret World Orders, because they all somehow relate to brainwashing and manipulation. So, and so happens this is also my topic. Too bad Brent wasn't here right now. He's the king of conspiracies, isn't he?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Brent loves a good old conspiracy.
So, Jeremy, did you want to kick it off a little bit about what we were talking about, or?
I have a question though. Do we get to talk about the CIA's experiment with LSD and that
Definitely.
guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. Well, definitely, Nick. You know. You don't have to ask that. We know who you are.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I guess I'll kick it off. Unless you want to hear about what you were talking about.
You can. I'll do mine a little bit later.
All right. Well, the tongue twister here. So the world governments, militaries, and other agencies are the top focus of mind control and tactics. They have been under huge scrutiny for many years, actually probably at least 60 years. The most famous being the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, China, Japan, and us, the United States. We are actually subjecting our citizens to mind control, even though we don't even know it, every single day. It was originally developed in the communist countries. I believe it was developed in the Soviet Union originally. But now it's used all over the world and a much higher level of refinement, too, to process our everyday lives. We don't even realize it. It ranges anywhere from political value to actually just everyday incidents. But we're going to kick off the history of mind control. It actually started in the Korean War is when it first became most famous. We actually started subduing, us and the North Koreans both started subduing each of our prisoners to torturement, of course, which has been around forever. But new procedures believe, they actually made people believe things they didn't actually believe in, you know what I mean? But it's actually, it started in the Korean War where we could actually pinpoint to the year 1950 when us and the North Koreans both started using the tactic. Now, do you want to talk about anything, Jared?
You could go ahead for a little bit.
Oh, all right. Well, and as I was talking about, most modern-day everyday incidents actually include a mind brainwashing. We don't even know it. But the funny thing is, most modern-day conspiracy theorists say they say since the day we were born, and as we speak, we're under mind control right now. People say there's a secret organization, again, Nick knows what I'm talking about, the Illuminati. They're believed to be a shadow organization or government allegedly controlling and manipulating world affairs through corporations and governments. And they actually say they're masterminds behind all the masterminds behind this are actually, it's going to lead to a new world order. But the funny thing is they're using mind control tactics such as the Green Movement and the 2012 conspiracy to control what you buy, eat, live, and rule your everyday life. And they actually, and me and Nick always talk about this, and they actually even control the currencies we use throughout the world.
George Soros. Sorry.
What, Nick?
I said George Soros.
Oh yeah, definitely. But they do this. What they actually, it's called scare tactics. What they try to force you to do something by you being terrified and scared. You're scared into submission, and you think something is inevitable is going to happen. So you do exactly what the preacher or the person stating these facts are going to say for your own sovereignty and safety. And while we're on this topic here, I think Jeremy wanted to say something about government mind control. And Nick, I know, wants to throw his little part in, like we were talking about.
Yeah, I have a couple of stories about government mind control that I thought Nick would actually like. The first one is about some prisoners. It says, there was just a small news announcement on the radio in early July of 1993. A short heat wave where 3 inmates at the Vacaville Medical Facility in California had died in a non-air-conditioned cells. 2 of the prisoners, the announcement said, may have died as a result of medical treatment. No media inquiries were made, and no major news stories developed because of the deaths. But what was the medical treatment that could have caused their death? The medical facility indicates that they were mind control or behavioral modification treatment. A deeper probe into the death of the 2 inmates unraveled a mind-boggling tale of horror that's been part of the California penalty system for a long time, and one that caused national outcries 20 years before. So some of the treatments, I guess, that California was admitted to using on their prisoners, it says a naked inmate is strapped down on a board, his wrists and ankles are cuffed to the board, his head is rigidly held in place by a strap around his neck. He is left in a darkened cell, unable to remove his body weights. When a meal is delivered, one wrist is unlocked so he could feel around in the dark for his food and attempt to pour liquid down his throat while being able to lift his head. Another experiment creates a muscle relaxant, it says. Another drug induces vomiting and was administered to prisoners who didn't get up on time or were caught swearing or lying, it says. And it says another deals with creating body rigidness, aching restlessness, blurred vision, severe muscular pain, and trembling. The Department of Health, Education, and Welfare of the U.S. Army has also admitted mind control experiments, and says many deaths have occurred.
Oh, I know for a fact. The government's the number one. Everyone points fingers at the government for mind control. That's me.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like we were talking about, though, like I was talking about the Illuminati, the Secret Shadow Organization. It's very true that people say from the day we were born. It started with the Green Movement in the 80s, or late 70s, early 80s. People say, like, from what we everyday instances were controlled of what we limited what we could eat and believe in everything. Because it doesn't just stretch. It's not just the government either. It stretches all the way from politicians to religious groups and everything, like anything in between.
Yeah.
Because I actually have religion is the next number one thing I want to talk about. They say religious cults are they're the second most pointed at next to the government, because they use fresh and elder minds to preach their beliefs to people. And studies performed by those believe that religious groups do practice mind control. They have a couple steps into putting people into submission. Like, I have a few facts here. They say number one thing they do is they recruit large numbers of young people into their religious groups by using deceptive techniques, which include like lying and everything like that, of course. They destroy their followers' ability to think critically and make independent decisions, and they endanger the followers by putting them in situations to commit suicide. They're put in physical or emotional distressing situations, which is basically the same thing. Their problems are reduced to one simple explanation, which makes them more, they don't have so many things to worry about in life. They receive unconditional love, acceptance, and everything from the leader of the group or other group members, which makes them feel accepted. They receive a new identity in the group, and lastly, they're subject to entrapment, which means they're like isolated from friends and relatives and like mainstream culture. So they're controlled at what information goes to them,
Yeah.
So that's how religious groups and the government both are believed to, like, brainwash their citizens. But and now we're on the topic of politicians also doing it. They use a form of mind control we all know is propaganda. They force you to believe a certain point of view in order to gain the upper hand on an opponent or a situation. And again, it's a form of scare tactics where they try to scare you into submission.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. I have something to say. I have the best thing of the entire night besides the news articles, guys. This one website I visited with this freak. And I mean freak. I literally went to the website and he said, to set you out of the government's trans control program, which was implanted in our brains the day we were born by the Illuminati, you must say this phrase: Unjun, Igu, Iterum Excontranado. Now you're out of the mind control trance. Just by repeating that phrase.
Nick, you're not under mind control anymore now.
Ichukaku, whatever he said. I don't know.
The best thing I've read in a long time.
You're now out of the mind control.
Like, because the Bigfoot's Pad Paranormal too, we research a lot into everything paranormal, and this happens. Me and Brent are mostly into conspiracies, and I know Nick's into them too quite a bit.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Steph?
About the Illuminati guy thinking that you can say that little chant and not be under mind control anymore?
Oh, yeah. There's this one guy who says the Illuminati controls from the day we were born. Yeah, and if you say that phrase, we're no longer under their control anymore. You can think independently again.
Oh, great.
So we have to repeat it out. We have to repeat it out loud, or else you're not. So Becky, like I said, you're not under mind control anymore either. How do you feel?
Well, I'd like to think I've had my own opinions for a while now that I've been thinking independently for a long time. So
no, you don't. Not until you say itchy, goo goo, aku, whatever.
Yeah, I already forgot. I already closed up the window.
But as far as mind control, I mean, I'm with the government using that. That's no surprise at all. But for me, when I think of mind control, I mean, it's like I don't want to say it because I don't want to step on any toes or religious, beliefs. But for me, religion is one of the, it's like the definition of mind control to me, especially because with the Bible, I mean, I'm not totally against the Bible, but I question a lot of stuff in it, and that's just it. I mean, I'm not anti-Christian, but I'm not a full Christian either. I'm pretty
come on, don't be a baby.
I mean, I'm pretty much a bunch of different things, but yeah, with the Bible, as far as like, the fear tactics and everything, there's obviously a lot of stuff that's in there that's made to scare us into trying to follow the ways of the Bible. So, and I'm not saying that none of it's true or, something like that, yeah. but I do question certain things about it, and there's some people who believe in it wholeheartedly, and that's their belief, that's their thing, but for me, I have to question things. So that's how I know I'm not under mind control, because I have to question things.
No, I know. I didn't mess with you.
But something else. You guys are talking about that conspiracy theory thing. Did you hear that Billy Ray Cyrus and his son are going to have a show on Sci-Fi Channel about like conspiracy theories, like going and trying to solve all those, or did you hear about that?
No, I didn't believe
that. Liking him
Huh?
He's trying to do mind control for us to buy his daughter's crap.
Oh, that will never work on me. But yeah, I just think someone at like Sci-Fi Channel needs to be bitch slapped for that. I mean, I can't believe Billy Ray Cyrus is going to get a paranormal show. That is just.
Nick has a crush on Billy Ray, though. Come on, don't you, Nick?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Guys, it's worth watching.
I got pissed when he cut the mullet off.
What was that?
But I got pissed when he cut the mullet off.
Oh yeah. I think were you saying something, Steph?
Yeah, because where I work, I'll be able to watch that because we got a deal with Sci-Fi Channel, so we're gonna preview all their shows.
That's cool.
Oh boy, oh my God, I just don't know how. I mean, obviously they're just trying to get. I mean, because I don't understand the appeal of Miley Cyrus or Hannah Montana, but I mean, to me, the only reason he got that show is because of his daughter's fame, and I guess they just figure, well, people will want to watch him. But it's like, why? What does he have anything to do with the paranormal or anything? I don't know. I know
he rides off his daughter's. He rides off the gravy train off his daughter now.
No, Nick.
Like I can't take him seriously, anyways.
I know.
OJ's conspiracy theory show, Nick.
There's this documentary that me and Jer and Tim and Brent have seen about
multiple times. Add that, Nick. Multiple times.
Multiple times. Yeah, we've taped it. It's kind of weird, but and one of the topics. Excuse me, I was losing my voice. One of the topics it talks about is the government experimenting with mind control and around the in the Cold War, and they experimented on this guy with LSD or some other type of drug.
Oh, that's LSD.
Or a mixture of drug. I don't remember what it was exactly, but after they did the experiments. This is what the show said, pretty much, quote unquote. He began to act like a child, throwing temper tantrums. And one day they needed to give him a babysitter. So he threw a temper tantrum and jumped out of the window and plummeted to his death.
Oh. Okay.
So that was the government's introduction to mind control.
Yeah, a guy threw a temper tantrum and jumped out the window. So the government was using these drugs to find out, what they could do to like Soviet leaders and spies and stuff if they ever managed to capture them.
Yeah, we actually watched a video on that in world history in I don't know what grade I was in, 11th or 12th. We watched it. Yeah, it was like LSD.
Well, I found a document online that talks about the CIA. It says a declassified CIA document from January 7th, 1953 describes the creation of multiple personalities in 19-year-old girls. It says the subjects have clearly demonstrated that they can pass from fully awake state to a deep hypnotic controlled state. They said that they did it by telephone, by written matter, by use of code, signal, or words to control the hypnotized. And it says that they're doing it to random people, supposedly.
Yeah, and that's what I mean again, it dates to the 1950 or 1953, like you were saying. That's the debut of mind control.
Mm-hmm.
In modern days, anyway. There's always been mind control of some sort, but...
Well, I have a good story for Nick. This goes a little bit off topic. It says mind control, what the article was called. Microscopic encapsulated viruses are being spread by aliens to humans by adding the virus to bottles of nasal decongestant spray solution at the factory level. Here is the proof. The virus in the spray bottle is enclosed in a time-release capsule which dissolves after 24 hours of ingestion, allowing the virus to enter the bloodstream of the victim. The virus itself hides within the nervous tissues, replicates slowly, and does not cause effects for a minimum of 25 years after the indigestion. And then it says, and then the effects are agonizing. While the virus is ripening and getting ready to do its dirty work, the victims exhibit no symptoms whatsoever. I submit that most of the symptomless young people we see walking around with spray inhalers, their asthma already infected. Why else would they show no symptoms? If I'm alive by next week, I'll let you know what else I find out. If not, let me know what you find out. This is going to be a new world order and a serious problem amongst the world economies. Help.
That sounds like an episode of the X-Files.
Yeah, I love the fact that he had to throw in there, if I'm alive next week. That's my favorite part.
I'm alive next week.
That was my favorite part.
Wow.
Nick, are you going to be alive next week because you use your eardrops?
Yeah, that's
No, you're going to be alive for 25 years, remember?
Oh, yeah, I won't feel it for 25 years, yeah.
But yeah, Nick, you did put your earcuffs in your ear after Parator, remember, Nick?
Yeah, no, because I had swimmer's ear. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm infected with the alien virus now.
But while you were talking, you actually found an interesting quote, and actually, I think it's true, too. It says, a quote, an estimated 5,000 economic, political, and religious groups operate in the United States alone at any given time. With 2.5 million members over the past 10 years, cults have actually used tactics of discussing mind control to negatively impact at least 20 million people in the last 10 years. Worldwide figures are even greater. It's actually by a book called Cults That Are Myths by Margaret Singer. I've actually heard this book is the #1 book to turn to when it comes to mind control because she explains like techniques and everything. So it's telling you just the widespread amount of people that have actually been affected by propaganda and mind control.
So Nick.
Yeah.
What do you think that mind control could be at a factory level like that guy says, or you think he's just crazy?
I guess it is possible to implant a virus or some type of toxin in medicine or something. I think that very statement he made was that statement was crazy. Excuse me, gosh. Especially if I will be alive at the end of the week part, I was kind of a little funny. But as far as like I said, as far as it goes, yeah, it's possible. I don't know if this is so much a conspiracy, but you know, I was talking. I was in class the other day at the my community college, and we were talking about genetic modifications of food. You know how they put in steroids and hormones and stuff into our food supply. You know, what are the effects of all this stuff? You know, we were talking about that. So is that another part of the Illuminati plan? You know, to put all this garbage in our foods that we have these days. You got some chicken. They were talking about we talked about Popeye's chicken, and they put hormones in their chickens, and they get huge. So it's like, the good old saying that goes, "You are what you eat," and you eat this chicken filled with these hormones. These hormones and these chemicals get into your body. What is it doing? So is there some type of conspiracy behind that? I think that's a very interesting topic we'd have to discuss another day.
Well, I do have something interesting. There is somebody that says that her name's Kathy O'Brien. She's a mind control revelations person. And she says satanic ritual murder and sex abuse may be as a power source and controlling practice with key operatives in the growing mind control network. As a presidential model, Kathy claims to be the official at ritual infanticide, blood drinking, and sexual abuse ceremonies that she says she took part in due to mind control. Then she says when she was under mind control, she infected David Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger, George Bush, Hillary Clinton, Robert Byrd, Al Gore, Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip, and Prince Charles. She infected with mind control, she says. And she says that they're all under her power, is what she's saying.
Oh.
Interesting. Just like people say Barack Obama is ran by a shadow government.
Well, I did find out something too, Nick, for future reference. She said that the Reptoids were the ones who gave her the powers, and she said that the Reptoid king is named Pindar.
Oh, so when Zeno, Tom Cruise, when Tom Cruise's friend Zeno comes back, are they going to fight? Zenar and Zeno, whatever his name is.
But Nick, George Bush is under his control.
Yes, the Reptoids control us all.
No,
mentioned
presidency, everything he's ever done. That was because of that lady.
Yes, it was because of her.
So was that you, Becky?
I was saying, you guys mentioned Obama. I just heard recently that, I guess apparently there's rumors online that he's on I guess the Whoop There It Is video from like the 80s or 90s, or there's a bunch of people saying that Obama is in that music video. There's a conspiracy right there. I don't know, I've never seen it. They're saying he's in it. He's like got like sunglasses or a hat on, but someone's saying, there's people online saying it looks just like him. So anyways, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
But no, because I know me and Nick in particular, and Jeremy also, we don't believe in the whole global warming theory, because there's actually thousands of scientists that don't talk about that prove that it's actually the opposite. It's global cooling going on, and they say that's a form of scare tactic too. Remember, Nick?
That's actually what I wrote my senior paper on, was global warming, and I was actually for it, but that's just because at the time I wrote it, I was reading all the stuff that was supposed to be proving it, and I did read stuff that was against it too, but I don't know. I mean, there is a lot of disasters and stuff going on right now. It does seem like it's more than usual, but at the same time, this is the only lifetime I've been in, so I don't know how really what to compare it to, other than, but I mean, people do make it sound like there's a lot more disasters and stuff going on, so I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about global warming.
Well, the thing is with that is, throughout the history of our planet, I was a very, very passionate defender of global warming for a while, until I started thinking for myself. And the planet has undergone periods of cooling and warming throughout the billions of years that it's been around. When the dinosaurs were alive, the Earth was like 20-something degrees hotter than it is now. So, there was no humans around back then. Yeah. Maybe the dino doo-doo put the carbon dioxide in the air. But they say that cows actually contribute a lot more global warming than they are given credit for. But basically, my point is, the Earth has undergone very dramatic climactic shifts in the history of the Earth, and billions of years before the human race was around. So, how are we going to affect? Yeah, that was kind of comical. How can we affect things that much when our planet's already been like that for billions of years? So.
Exactly what, because what they say too is, because the global warming conspiracy, they say people are just trying to, all of it is just a money scheme,
Oh yeah, Al Gore's got a lot of money. What's his name? Ventura, and Jesse Ventura showed that. He's got a lot of money tied up in this thing, but.
Oh yeah, because they buy carbon. Remember, Nick, the carbon numbers? They buy them. Factories buy them, so they say they're producing less carbon, but they really aren't. And as a matter of fact, all they're doing is they're just giving money to other people, and then they say that money goes towards the Illuminati, is what they say. So.
Yeah, it's again, it's a screwed up world out there, and there's mind control everywhere. I mean, advertising, I guess you could say, is a form of mind control.
Yeah.
Like when you, I took a mass media class, and I learned about advertising techniques. Now I spot the bullcrap that they try to sell to you right away. So there's so much things going on that you don't even notice. They affect you. So next time you're watching McDonald's commercial, bop 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 bop, I'm loving it. That that makes you think, oh, they're loving McDonald's, so I'm what it makes you almost say, I love McDonald's too. And you want to go out maybe for a Big Mac or something. I personally find it very disgusting, but I'm not.
I don't know about that. I think if most people don't like McDonald's, I don't think that slogan's really going to change their minds.
Yeah.
I like the old McDonald's commercials better.
Yeah, I mean, there's various tactics they use to, like, they use appeal to fame.
Go ahead, Nick. Well, I was going to say, because they all seem to point back at one thing, Nick, with, like, the New World Order and, like, mind control, you know what I mean? Everything.
Yeah.
And like, me always like, Nick, the Euro is a good example, Nick. They're trying to control under one world order, remember?
Yeah, well, an example with the advertising thing is, I bet all of you have probably seen a commercial at one time for a cleaning product where they have a baby sitting in a room, and then they show these, this computer-simulated germs crawling over the floor near this baby, and then they go, "You need Clorox sanitizer wipes to kill these germs," and they stick the baby in there, and they never bring the baby up, but the baby's there to kind of say, it makes people think, oh my God, my baby's going to get sick. I got to go out and buy this product to keep my baby from getting sick. It scares people using these primeval instincts to protect their young. So it's everywhere.
But Nick, you got to go into the Euro. Remember, Nick? You and me always talk about it. Remember, Nick?
Oh, the Euro? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they're talking about, what's her names? I think it's Bosnia. I think I read today in the paper is going to join the European Union. And more countries are getting absorbed into the European Union. And this union is growing slowly. The groups like this in the United Nations are growing slowly, but they're starting to absorb more and more entities within them, more countries and whatnot in them. And that's why I actually do believe that somebody, whether it be the Illuminati or somebody else, is trying to set up a one-world government. Because, this would be for another show. We could discuss this, but there's so many facts out there. If you really look at things and connect the dots, it's a pretty grim picture that you get.
Exactly. Like we always talk about the euro dollar, Nick. That's the best example of all time, though. How they try to unite all the countries under one currency to make no country have its own identity. You know what I mean? Everyone will be under one control.
Yeah, like in North America, our dollar is becoming less and less every day, and eventually the dollar probably is going to lose its value because we owe so much money to China and whatnot. Our national debt is so high. And talking about scare tactics, like I said, President Bush was king of scare tactics, at least for Iraq. They got weapons of mass destruction and So he rushed over there to invade Iraq, and that was scare tactics, global warming. Look at the bailout of the big three Ford Motor Company, General Motors. Everybody was saying, if the government doesn't help these businesses, the economy's going to crash. We're going to go into a Great Depression. Everybody's going to, be struggling, and a lot of people will be homeless, and they painted this really, really negative, bad picture. So nobody, everybody, including myself at the time, was scared to death about this. So we supported, not everybody, but a great deal of people supported the government bailing out these businesses because they were sold this gloom and doom message. In the words of actually Obama's former Joint Chiefs of Staff, the chief, Rahm Emanuel, said, a good crisis will never be put to waste. So even with the current administration, the government takes crises, real crises, or they manufacture crises to scare people into giving them more power.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. This is where they die.
Well, I have a weird story that I'd like to talk about. In Costa Rica, there's a wasp that that has a form of mind control. It says when the wasp successfully attacks a spider, which is, I guess, its prey, the spider is temporarily paralyzed as the wasp lays its eggs on the tip of the spider's abdomen. Once the wasp departs, the spider then regains the ability to move, and it continues its daily web construction for the next 2 weeks as though nothing has changed. Meanwhile, in the wasp, the larvae from the wasp are growing inside the spider's belly and feed on its juices through a number of small punctures. On the night before the parasites kill its host, the events take a bizarre turn. Through some unknown mechanism, the larvae compel their host spider to build a web that is very different from that it has always constructed before. Instead of being a flat, round web, the spider builds a stout, reinforced platform that's much smaller. Once the new web is complete, the larvae kill their host and cocoon themselves in the structure. It's ideal for the task, being resistant to rain and wind, and it keeps them safe from ants that inhabit the forest floor. So I think it's like the sort of natural mind control type thing.
That is pretty weird.
Well, that was like weird and gross at the same time. Oh.
Yeah, that was.
What do you think, Steph? Steph? I think she's doing something.
I think we lost her.
What do you think, Nick?
So you said that I think I've heard of this before. The wasp lays its eggs on the spider, and the spider builds the nest, and then the wasp larvae hatch, and I think they eat the body of the spider, and then the web serves as somewhat of a protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Nature is full of
natural mind.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like when did the wasp get smart enough to say, oh shoot, look, I can do this to the spider, Puzzle.
I want your blood. And I want your soul. And I want them both right now.
What the hell is that even from? What is that line from?
From a movie Tombstone.
Well, I found another CIA document. It says from February 10th, 1954. It describes an experiment on the creation of unsuspecting assassins. A lady was instructed, having expressed a fear of firearms, that she would use every method at her disposal to awaken another lady that was in a deep hypnotic sleep. And failing this, she would pick up a pistol and fire it at the other lady. She was instructed that she would not hesitate to kill the opposite lady, and she carried out the suggestions, including firing the loaded gun, once the CIA used their method. It says after proper suggestions were made, both were awakened and expressed absolute denial of what happened, including the woman that was shot.
Dang.
So, Nick, do you believe, like Stalin was saying in World War II, that it's possible to make an army of people under mind control?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
I actually I got a point when Nick's done. Go ahead, Nick.
It's definitely possible, I guess, to make an army of people under mind control, because I've never been under, like, hypnotism, for instance. I've never been under hypnotism, but I've seen people that have been under and talked to people. And, you ask them, I said, is it a bunch of crap what they do? And they say, no. When he tells me to bark like a dog and get on all fours and wag my butt, I'm not doing it, but he somehow has he or she, the hypnotist has a command over me that I can't explain. So,
well, just like we're talking about the military, like you were saying there, it's funny because it's not really relevant, but they say like when you go to boot camp, they break you down mentally and they rebuild you themselves. Like they build you to be like a Marine, like in the Marines, of course. They break you down mentally and they rebuild you up. So in a way,
well, I did the same exact thing to Nick though when it came time to eating Snackers, right, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
I broke you down and rebuilt your way of thinking, Nick, on how to eat a sandwich.
And how to eat a sandwich, yes.
It's all around us, though, whether it be religion, politics, or what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, the only way, I think, realistically, to be safe from mind control, in by definition, you probably have to lock yourself up in a box or live in a cave for your entire life by yourself.
In the middle of our Sasquatch fight, Nick.
Oh, yeah. Or you can move out to New Guinea and live out with the Bututu tribe and I'm just kidding. I'm making stuff up. We always make jokes about New Guinea because we've looked at going to there for a trip, but there's several obstacles to doing that. But
yeah, so
you'd have to lock yourself up in a box.
Like, did you want to recap the topic tonight, here? Like, while we still have 15 minutes?
Do I want to what?
Oh, like, recap on the topics, what we've talked about tonight?
I'll let Nick do it.
Oh, okay. Well, tonight we first talked about UFO, about crop circles. Talked about crop circles specifically, and we just briefly mentioned of how most of them are hoaxes, but there are some genuine ones, which there are a few different theories as to what causes them, such as extraterrestrials, maybe the Earth, animals, wallabies out in Australia. The Earth has
the alligator on the
messages.
Plane. The alligator on the plane.
Oh, yeah, the alligator on the plane goes to crop circles. Yeah. And,
the alligator on the plane that crashed the airplane.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that, too. Talked about the alligator. The people tried to smuggle an alligator, and the plane crashed, and only one person in the alligator survived.
You guys keep laughing about that, but 400 people died, man. Oh, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
409 people, Nick, so the one alligator and the guy survived.
Yeah, I think that alligator is the worst serial murder ever.
Yeah.
Alligator. Forget about snakes on a plane. It's about alligators on the plane.
Yeah. Gators on a plane.
And but after that, we talked about mind control and various forms and ways of doing it. So that's pretty much what we talked about tonight. Yeah.
Now that we wrapped up tonight's show, we have a couple minutes left. I was going to talk a little bit about our next October 30th. We have an interview with Jeff Hilling, who owns a website called PattersonFilm.com. We're supposed to be interviewing him about the Patterson footage and the whole entire sequence of events that happened. It's supposed to happen at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific time on October 30th, which is this upcoming Saturday. And then, of course, next Tuesday we'll have a show. The topic's still being a little bit debated, but I got one in mind. That'll be pretty good. Anyways, we're going to end the show about 10 minutes early tonight. I'll let my co-host say their goodbyes.
Okay. Goodbye and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah, thanks
Goodbye,
for listening, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Watch out for alligators.
Oh, we've gone bananas for Big Banana and Crayon. You'll learn to write a lot of ways. Oh, we've gone bananas for Big Banana and Crayon. The colors are so bright.